The story begins with the hero Yuga and his trusted crew standing at the gates of the Demon Lord's massive fortress. Just before the final battle begins, they hype each other up, ready to take on their ultimate mission. The castle doors slowly groan open, and multiple sinister eyes stare them down from the darkness within. As the group steps inside, they're immediately greeted by the Demon Lord's cocky General Yuki, who wastes no time taunting them, claiming they're far too weak to be any real threat. Without hesitation, the party's mage launches a blazing spell straight at him, but Yuki effortlessly swats it aside. The swordsman charges next, aiming for a quick slash, but Yuki dodges with ease and drives a punishing kick into his gut, sending him flying. Not backing down, the support mage Cecilia casts a buff on Yuga, and he immediately unleashes his ultimate move Excalibur, but Yuki answers with a bottomless dark spell of his own, and the two powers collide in a dazzling clash. Despite Yuga's effort, Yuki overpowers them, wiping out the entire party by himself. With the whole squad down and out, Yuga lies on the floor, defeated, wondering if this is where it all ends. He then blacks out, only to have Yuki, strangely enough, start healing everyone on the ground. But then, his eyes fall on Cecilia and he freezes. She looks absolutely stunning and he can't help but stare. Right then, Yuki's underlings show up and ask if they should finish off the heroes. Caught red-handed admiring Cecilia's face, Yuki gets flustered as his subordinates start teasing him. Annoyed, he orders them to quietly drop the unconscious heroes near a nearby human settlement, muttering a reluctant farewell to his fallen princess. 1 month later, Yuki is summoned to the Demon Lord's chambers. His top aide Zekiel questions how many times these heroes have come back for more, so Yuki replies flatly that it's been 13 times now. Zekiel scoffs, calling them hopeless losers who clearly don't know when to quit. The Demon Lord then asks why Yuki hasn't simply finished them off. Yuki shrugs and says those pathetic wannabes aren't even worth killing. Hearing that, the Demon Lord suggests letting Yuki's subordinates handle it. But Yuki's eyes twitch because he knows his own men wouldn't survive against Yuga's team, and he also doesn't want Cecilia to get hurt. So with a mix of pride and protectiveness, he volunteers to take them out himself. The Demon Lord grins silently, giving Yuki the green light. As Yuki stepped out of the throne room and made his way back to his quarters, a heavy feeling settled in his chest. He couldn't help but worry about the hero's fate. Deep down, he understood he was the only one strong enough to stand against them, and if he didn't, they had the power to kill the Demon Lord themselves. With that in mind, he found himself unsure of what move to make next, especially with the Demon Lord's grip on the world tightening by the day. The following day, the heroes showed up at the Demon Lord's castle once again. After Yuki effortlessly knocked back their swordsman and Yuga, the assault mage Mikana stepped up to retaliate. Her first barrage of magic was blocked without much effort, but right after, she launched a follow-up spell in complete silence, catching him off guard. Still, Yuki managed to react just in time, and the sheer speed of his defense left Mikana stunned. Off to the side, Yuki spotted Cecilia healing her teammates, and the sight made him blush for a moment. He broke into laughter and began mocking the heroes for their pointless attempts at taking him down, but Yuga wasn't backing down and unleashed a mighty Excalibur spell in a last-ditch effort to stop him. Unfortunately, Yuki tanked the blast without flinching and told them plainly that they'd never stand a chance against him. Even so, Yuga stood firm, saying they had no choice but to press on if they wanted to defeat the Demon Lord. Then out of nowhere, Yuki pointed straight at Cecilia and told them he'd let them pass, only if they left her behind. Yuga immediately rejected the idea, but Mikana, trying to stay pragmatic, considered the offer. She argued that Yuki had the strength to wipe them out whenever he felt like it, so they should take the opportunity and focus on their real mission. Yuga still refused to leave their healer behind, but Cecilia spoke up for herself and said she was willing to remain. With heavy hearts, the group moved on, swearing to come back for her after they took down the Demon Lord. Once they were gone, Cecilia turned to Yuki and demanded to know why he'd made her stay. Assuming he was itching for a fight, she quickly prepared a spell, but Yuki threw up his hands and surrendered, asking to talk instead. She questioned why he was introducing himself like a gentleman if he planned to kill her anyway. He simply answered that if he truly wanted her dead, she would have been gone long ago. Slowly lowering her guard, she took a breath and asked what it was he really wanted. Yuki gathers what little courage he has left and confesses that he fell for her the moment he saw her, admitting that he wants to be with her. Cecilia is completely taken aback, but after thinking it over, she gently but firmly rejects him. The rejection hits Yuki so hard that all his will to live drains away. Cecilia assumes he was only trying to deceive her and prepares to strike him again. But when Yuki doesn't even attempt to defend himself, she halts her attack halfway through. Yuki urges her to go on and finish him off, saying he has no desire to keep living. Refusing to believe someone could give up that easily, Cecilia presses him for the truth. He then explains that he has spent his entire life imprisoned inside the Demon Lord's castle, only allowed outside to wipe out human villages, something he never wanted to do. Stunned, Cecilia insists that demons are inherently evil. Yuki responds that even though he looks like a demon, he was actually reincarnated from another world. Still confused, Cecilia listens as he explains that he is human on the inside, trapped in a demon's body. Realizing that reincarnated people usually possess overwhelming power, she questions why he hasn't defeated the Demon Lord himself. Yuki explains that killing the Demon Lord would make him the next ruler of the demons, forcing him to commit horrific acts against humanity. And feeling completely trapped, he believed his fate was to rot away in misery inside his cell forever. But that changed when he met Cecilia, whose presence gave him hope that life still had meaning. But now with even that final hope gone, Yuki believes he has nothing left to live for. At that moment, Cecilia tells him that he must keep living and use his power to protect humanity instead. She believes he can find another purpose in life and offers to help him escape into the outside world. Several days later, the Kingdom of Clarionus holds a grand celebration honoring the heroes for their victory over the Demon Lord. King Dart stands before them, praising their bravery in saving the world from a great evil, and announces that a 3-day festival will be held in their honor. From a hidden spot outside the kingdom, Yuki watches the celebration from afar. Knowing that Cecilia now lives there, he decides to disguise himself as an ordinary human. With a pained expression, he snaps off his demon horn and enters the kingdom. At the same time, Mikana congratulates Yuga on their victory, filling him with joy. He then turns toward Cecilia to celebrate with her, fully aware that their success was largely thanks to her efforts, causing Mikana to feel left out and overlooked. Not long after, Yuki steps into the city's Adventurers Guild to register. The lazy receptionist Kramen lets out a sigh and lazily pulls out a registration form. Once Yuki signs it, Kramen hands over a fresh guild card and explains the basics. He'll start off as an F-rank adventurer, the lowest of the ranks, with S being the highest. He mentions that Yuki can climb the ranks by completing missions, but warns him that it usually takes at least a month just to reach E rank. Before letting him go, Kramen tells him not to lose the card and offers a half-hearted good luck. After that, Yuki takes on a flurry of missions and manages to earn enough coin to rent a room at an inn. A week later, he returns to the guild, where the place is buzzing with rumors about a newbie climbing ranks at lightning speed. While that's going on, Yuki heads to the counter and asks Kramen for more commissions. Kramen, clearly not in the mood for paperwork, snaps at him to go ask the cute receptionist next to him instead. But Yuki flat out refuses, saying he'd rather deal with Kramen instead. Brushing it off, Kramen suddenly eyes Yuki and asks him who he really is. He knows damn well that no average guy jumps from F to D rank in just a week. Yuki plays dumb, but Kramen just sighs and says he can't accuse him of anything since he technically hasn't broken any rules. Right then, a girl wearing a hood walks into the guild and demands that Kramen cancel all of Yuki's pending quests. Yuki turns to see who it is and instantly recognizes Cecilia. Kramen, caught off guard, wonders what the hero Priestess is doing in the guild, but she quickly hushes him and then invites Yuki to come with her for a private talk at her place. While they're riding in Cecilia's carriage, Yuki can't help but wonder why a girl just took him home. When they arrive at her estate, one of the guards spots Yuki stepping out and immediately gets suspicious. He points a spear at him and demands to know what he's doing with Cecilia. But before anything escalates, she steps down and tells the guard that Yuki is a friend. Another guard comes over and pulls the first one back, and Cecilia leads Yuki inside to sit down for tea. Once there, she apologizes for not finding him sooner, but Yuki doesn't mind. He asks how she even managed to track him down in a city this huge, and she tells him it wasn't hard because he's gotten pretty famous after rocketing up to D rank in just a few days. Then out of nowhere, she asks him to quit the Adventurers Guild, completely throwing him off. She goes on to explain that after Yuga beat the Demon Lord, the other nations have started waging proxy wars to seize power. She also tells Yuki that Yuga's already being courted by world leaders, offered money, women, and more power than he could ever wish for. Even though Yuki can't help but feel a little jealous of the hero, he also realizes the guy's just a pawn in the hands of greedy nations. Cecilia warns him that with power like his, he'll attract the same kind of attention, maybe even worse. And since he's stronger than the hero, she's genuinely afraid someone might try to use his strength to conquer the world. Yuki gets where she's coming from, but he still jokes that power doesn't pay rent. Cecilia offers to hire him herself, but admits she can't afford someone of his caliber. She pleads with him anyway, only for Yuki to suddenly ask her to lift her head. Then, with way too much confidence, he says even if the world's most beautiful woman threw herself at him, he'd still turn her down, because his heart only belongs to her. That makes Cecilia burst into laughter, while Yuki instantly regrets going that hard with his words. A moment later, Cecilia's mother, Celia, enters the room. She apologizes for the way her guard acted and sends her maid Sophia to handle the situation. And once Sophia leaves, Celia casually mentions that Cecilia's already getting a ton of marriage proposals. Yuki's eyes widen, especially when he finds out that even Yuga confessed to her. But Cecilia quickly assures him that she rejected the hero flat out. Seeing how red Yuki's face turns, Celia teases him a little and bluntly asks if he has feelings for her daughter. Then she gets straight to the point, asking if he's interested in marrying Cecilia. Caught completely off guard, Yuki wonders if this is some kind of trick question, but Celia insists on a direct answer. He shakes his head and tells her that Cecilia already turned him down once. He explains he's working hard as an adventurer so that one day he'll be able to propose properly. Celia raises an eyebrow and asks if he's really turning down such a generous offer, but Yuki stands firm, saying he'll always respect Cecilia's wishes. That finally earns her approval, and she admits it was a test to see if he'd drool over the opportunity like some desperate lowlife. And since he didn't, she tells him he's welcome to visit their house anytime. Later, Cecilia tells Yuki that her mom might actually like him, and although the idea kind of stresses him out, he's grateful for the chance he got. He then asks if it's okay to start calling her by her first name. She agrees and even calls him by his name. Overwhelmed, Yuki lets out a loud cheer, feeling like he just inched a little closer to winning her heart. The following day, Yuki hunts down a cockatrice for his quest, gliding past every beam it fires like he's just warming up. The more he dodges, the more the creature flips out, screeching like mad and lunging at him with blind fury. But the instant it gets too close, Yuki unleashes a thunder spell so brutal it lights up the area like a lightning storm, frying the oversized bird on the spot. With zero urgency, he strolls up, plucks out all its feathers one by one, and finishes the mission like it was nothing. Right then, a Dullahan appears, and just moments later, a harpy dive bombs from above, launching an attack on Yuki. Then a second boy rushes in to join the assault, forcing Yuki to shout and remind them all that he used to be their leader. When they finally recognize that the boy is actually Yuki in disguise, Duke demands to know why he disappeared after the demon lord died. The others are just as confused, prompting Yuki to finally explain why he left so suddenly. He starts by proudly revealing that he confessed to Cecilia and got brutally turned down. Then he tells them that he's now living as a human adventurer. All three demons are stunned, but Yuki quickly tells them they're free to live their lives without him. But none of them are willing to walk away from their former master. They're way too curious about the girl who drove him to quit his old life. Yuki insists they stay behind, warning them about the headaches of hiding their identities with convincing disguises, but none of them back off. Eventually, Yuki gives in and agrees to let them tag along. He removes their demonic traits one by one, but when Cecilia learns that Yuki went as far as to pluck every feather off the poor harpy, she completely lays into him for being a heartless jerk. Yuki admits he messed up and apologizes, much to the demon's amusement as they watch him get chewed out. Later, Cecilia invites everyone into her home for some tea. She's surprised by how well all three demons managed to blend in with human appearances. Duke explains that he reattached his head to his armor, while Seek the Pixie and Happiness the Harpy ditched their most noticeable traits to blend into society. He also tells Cecilia that Yuki was the real reason their group was so relaxed and chaotic. Back at the Demon Lord's castle, Zykill would constantly pressure Yuki to work, but Yuki always locked himself in his room and flat out refused, driving the Demon Lord up the wall. At one point, Duke thought it'd be smart to punish him, but ended up getting his head blown off for the trouble. Since then, he's been loyal to Yuki ever since, and Cecilia finally understands how much the demons respect him. Right then, Yuki notices the other two demons are nowhere to be found. Knowing they can't risk being spotted, the group quickly sets off to track down the missing misfits. As they pass through the mansion's courtyard, they find Seek curled up and napping on Celia's lap. Yuki immediately apologizes for whatever trouble his friend might have caused, but Celia brushes it off with a smile. She explains that she'd just been quietly watching Seek while he played alone, and he eventually dozed off from exhaustion. Yuki nods in understanding, but then asks where Happiness went since she was supposed to be with Seek. That's when Celia drops the surprise that Sophia had already found her and took her in to train her as a maid. The whole gang rushes back inside and confronts Sophia, demanding to know why she abducted their innocent friend. Once Sophia realizes Happiness is with Yuki, she admits that she was expecting a new maid today and just assumed Happiness was the one. Yuki apologizes for the mix-up and tells Happiness to go ahead and change out of the outfit. But for some reason, she flat out refuses. Instead, she turns to Sophia and asks if she can just keep the job, leaving everyone frozen in disbelief. In the end, the group congratulates Happiness on landing her new gig. As they get ready to head out, Celia kindly tells the demons they're welcome to visit anytime. Then she sneaks up beside Yuki and quietly whispers that Cecilia has a day off coming soon, hinting that he should take her out. Grinning like a fool, Yuki eagerly agrees, thrilled that the parents are finally giving him the green light for a real date. The following morning, he waits patiently at their meeting spot. Soon enough, a carriage rolls in and Cecilia steps out wearing a charming disguise. Yuki stares at her, stunned, until she nervously asks if something's wrong. He quickly explains that her glasses just completely threw him off, so she reminds him that she has to stay hidden. After all, everyone in the city knows her face. She apologizes for dragging him into all this trouble, but Yuki just shakes his head and promises he'll make this their best day yet. The two of them then wander through the lively streets together. While walking, Cecilia spots a cozy little bakery and makes a mental note to come back for tea. She soon pauses to admire some lovely flowers at a corner stall, though Yuki secretly thinks none of them even come close to her. A bit later, she crouches down to pet a nearby cat and playfully starts making cute meowing sounds, forcing Yuki to glance away before he loses his mind. Not long after, the pair stroll into a boutique where Yuki helps her pick out a stunning red dress. After that, Cecilia thanks Yuki for spending the day with her, saying she finally feels refreshed from her usual exhausting routine. Caught off guard, he's genuinely glad that his presence helped ease her stress. Wanting to make the outing a little more memorable, he brings her to a small accessory shop to buy her a little gift. Not far off, Yuga is also strolling around the city with Mikana, both of them disguised. The moment he spots Cecilia, Yuga instantly calls out, but Mikana quickly shuts him up, trying to keep their cover intact. Still, Yuga strolls right up to Cecilia, casually asking what she's doing out here. He tells her he's just out exploring the town with Mikana and casually invites her to tag along, completely ignoring Yuki like he doesn't even exist. Cecilia tries to point out that she's actually spending time with Yuki, so Yuga reluctantly agrees to let him come too. Then without waiting, he grabs Cecilia and drags her off toward the accessory store, leaving Mikana visibly annoyed that her first real date just got hijacked. She turns to Yuki and bluntly asks if he's on a date with Cecilia too. When he nods, Mikana immediately orders him to seduce Cecilia, hoping it'll finally shift Yuga's attention back to her. While Yuki's brain starts to overheat, thinking Mikana's being supportive, she snaps him out of it by flat out calling him a pathetic eyesore. She storms into the store, leaving Yuki standing there wondering if Yuga's still trying to flirt with Cecilia even after she turned down his marriage proposal. Fueled by frustration and jealousy, Yuki heads in, dead set on protecting the girl he loves. Once inside, he gently asks Cecilia if she'd like a gift. She hesitates, not wanting to trouble him, but Yuki insists that he wants to make the day feel special for her. Just then, Yuga notices Yuki talking to her and immediately barges in without a shred of manners. While Yuga goes off to get something flashy, Yuki quietly picks out a lovely necklace and gives it to Cecilia. She's delighted by the pretty pendant, clearly touched by the gesture, but the moment doesn't last. Yuga barges back in, flashing the most expensive item in the shop, thinking it'll win her over, but it barely gets a glance. Then without asking, he snatches her hat off and tries to force the accessory onto her, completely blowing her cover. In a flash, the entire store realizes who she is, and a massive crowd swarms them. Yuki gets shoved aside like garbage while the mob rushes Cecilia and sweeps her out of the store. Scraping himself off the floor, Yuki tries to chase after them, only to stumble into another hero getting mobbed by a horde of fangirls. Spotting Levin, the swordsman from Yuga's team, Yuki pauses, unsure if he should step in. Thinking fast, he suddenly points off in a random direction and shouts like he just saw the hero nearby. The starry-eyed girls immediately bolt after the imaginary sighting, leaving Levin behind. With the coast clear, Yuki grabs Levin and pulls him into a secluded alley, since the knight still hasn't said a word. Noticing the silence, Yuki wonders if Levin simply doesn't feel like talking. Just as he turns to walk off, Levin finally calls out in a hesitant voice, clearly embarrassed. Hearing the soft tone, Yuki starts to wonder if the charming knight is insecure about how he sounds. Levin quietly nods and asks if his voice comes off as unmanly. But Yuki doesn't laugh or judge. He tells him straight that everyone's got something they're not too proud of. Caught off guard by the kindness, Levin stares at him while Yuki starts scanning the street for Cecilia. Touched by his thoughtfulness, Levin shyly asks if Yuki would be interested in being his friend. The sudden offer catches Yuki off guard, and just as Levin starts doubting himself, Yuki accepts with a smile before quickly turning back to search for his missing date. After a while of searching, he starts to wonder if Cecilia's alright on her own in such a big, unfamiliar city. On the other side of town, Cecilia is also looking for him when she comes across a lost little boy. She heals a cut on his knee and asks where his parents are. The boy starts tearing up, saying he lost his mom. His cries echo just enough for Yuki to hear from nearby, and he rushes over, stepping in like some wannabe hero. Cecilia blinks in surprise but immediately scolds him for making promises he can't keep. Watching a grown man get lectured leaves the little boy chuckling at Yuki's expense. Shrugging it off, Yuki teams up with Cecilia to help find the boy's mother. While walking, he gently suggests that Cecilia head home in case another crowd causes trouble. But she shakes her head and says she's not backing down. If anything happens again, they'll handle it together. Yuki nods and keeps moving, only to glance back when Cecilia suddenly sneezes, despite the weather being blazing hot. Meanwhile, Yuga's still wandering the city looking for Cecilia. Mikana tells him to drop it and go home, but he brushes her off and takes off running. Left behind, Mikana clenches her fists in frustration, feeling ignored on what was supposed to be their date. Not long after, Yuga catches a glimpse of Cecilia standing with Yuki. He spins around to tell Mikana, only to realize she's completely gone. The following morning, Yuki finds out that Cecilia fainted on her way back home. Celia calmly explains that her daughter caught a nasty cold, and she was already worn out. And thanks to Yuga's little stunt, the crowd pushed her over the edge. Celia also mentions that Yuga kept barging into her daughter's business, so she sent Sophia to handle him. Yuki blinks in shock, wondering how casually Sophia could just toss the hero out like yesterday's trash. But Celia smiles and praises him for taking care of Cecilia so well. She gives him permission to visit her upstairs, and Sophia escorts him to her room. When Sophia knocks on the door, Cecilia panics from inside, mortified at the idea of Yuki seeing her room. Sophia calmly reassures her, mentioning that she already hid the stuffed teddy bear, completely nuking whatever cool points Cecilia had left. Finally, Yuki steps inside, clearly flustered just being in a girl's room. He sits beside her as she lies in bed, looking tired but still smiling. Feeling guilty, Yuki admits it might be his fault she got sick, since he dragged her around so many places. Cecilia plays along and says he'll just have to make it up to her by planning an even better date next time. Lighting up, Yuki leaps to his feet and starts boasting like some over-the-top hero ready to whisk her away on a grand adventure. Watching him put on such a ridiculous act, Cecilia bursts out laughing. That of course doesn't sit well with Sophia, so she storms in, grabs Yuki without hesitation, and chucks him straight out of the room, yelling that he'll only make her condition worse by making her laugh so hard. Later, as Yuki walks home rubbing his back, he spots Levin heading towards Cecilia's mansion. Curious, Yuki stops him and asks what's going on. Levin says he's planning to confess to a girl, and he admits that she made him feel seen. She complimented his soft voice instead of mocking it, and he's been drawn to her ever since. Still, he's not sure he's good enough. Yuki waves it off, telling him that a tall, good-looking guy like him has nothing to worry about. Feeling pumped up, Levin thanks him and walks off towards Cecilia's house. As Yuki watches him leave, he casually wonders who the lucky girl is, only for the realization to hit him like a truck. That kind, supportive girl Levin's in love with, it's gotta be Cecilia. And just like that, Yuki realizes he may have accidentally cheered on his own love rival. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap and are excited for the next episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our daily recaps.